Well, we use banks.
I don't get a lot of but anyway, it didn't happen, so we'll get that, so we'll have that correct. Appreciate it.
Chatter.
Yes.
Sir, you made a wrong turn.
Do it. Do it.
You made a wrong turn, you're over the rest.
You all will be sure to bring I'm inviting you, please turn it off.
I really got lucky with my.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have 7 o'clock, so I'll call the Mulberry City Council's order at this time. So if everyone will stand, we'll have open prayer. Father in heaven, thank you that you provide for us better than any of us deserve. We're very, very grateful. We thank you, Lord, for the day you've given us. Lord, we pray for our military that's all over the world, for our protection and security, for our first responders and firefighters and health officials, those that give of their time and talents for us, for our safety, our security, our well-being, and we pray you bless them and keep them safe. We thank you, Lord, for our council. We thank you, Lord, for those that will serve, and we pray, Lord, you give a person great wisdom to make decisions affecting the citizens. We pray bless us. We pray for our Father that you provide for us and use us all to bring glory. For his name we pray.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for their continued justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Would you do a roll call, please?
Wilma Pevey. Here. Bobby Tweedy.
Here.
Sheila Trent. Here. Stacy Miles. Here. Kimberly Bruce. Here. Jimmy Moore.
Here.
Carla Sutherland. Here. Mayor Baxter.
Thank you. Next is approval of the consent agenda, the August minutes and financial statements that were mailed to council. And we have time to go through those. Are there any additions, corrections, changes to those minutes as written?
Make the motion to approve. Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve. Any discussion? None?
Wilma.
Yes.
Bobby. Sheila. Yes. Stacy. Yes. Kim. Yes. Jimmy.
Yes.
Next, we'll go to departmental reports. Our police chief's here. Chief Gregory, would you come and give the report for the police department, please?
Good evening. For the month of August, we had 185 calls, 47 traffic stops, 13 citations issued, 12 arrests, 5 misdemeanors, 7 felony, 197 business checks, and 41 cleanup orders. So it's been pretty busy. Everything's going really well. We've got the 2 groups that was doing most of the thieving where they need to be in life, so it has slowed down a little bit so far this month, knock on the wood. But anybody got any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Next is our fire department report. Our chief admin, Jason Slipper is here. Chief.
Evening, everybody. For August, we had a total of 38 calls, and 26 of those have been medical. 2 fires, one of them was a structure fire, one a vehicle fire, and 5 more vehicle accidents, and the remaining was just canceled calls. Everything was going good. Any questions?
Thank you, Chief. Next, Public Works Director Jim Jr. Jim, would you come forward?
Good evening, everyone. Public work seems to be going normal. We're staying up with it. Mowing season's almost over. We'll take a look at that. Everything's running on smooth as far as I know. They're really good crew. They all work hard. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Thank
How
you.
did the, with the water meters,
I beg your
the
pardon?
water meter changes, did that happen?
Jim, what she was asking about is change out of the water meters, and yes, that has happened.
Yes.
And, go through that. So we got a few more. We had one of our employees went on a planned vacation for a while and is back now and finished it. Next, old business, we had Tim down there, but I did not get the report back from contractors, so we'll table that till next month. Next, on to new business, we've got resolution 2021-12. This is a standard resolution we do every year, resolution setting the village rates for the year of 2021 this year. And so, Monica, would you please read resolution 2021-12?
City of Mulberry, Arkansas, resolution number 2021-12. Whereas the city of Mulberry must submit the millage rates to be assessed for the year 2021 by the Crawford County Quorum Court before their November 2021 meeting. And whereas the city of Mulberry has the option to increase or decrease its millage rate with a 5 mil limit on both personal and real property. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Mulberry, Arkansas, Section 1, that the rate shall be 5 mills on personal property and 5 mills on real property located within the corporate limits of the city of Mulberry.
This just, what we have here, so we're ready to, excuse me, to send to the court. I have a motion approved.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Wilma.
Yes.
Bobby.
Yes.
Sheila.
Yes.
Stacy. Yes. Kim. Yes. Jimmy.
Yes.
Next, on the new business, we have three different ordinances here. Ordinance 2021-02, an ordinance requesting variance to ordinance 142 for property located at the corner of Second Street and Church Avenue. I think y'all had in your packets that from the planning and zoning commission, y'all all have that, see that, and y'all looked that over and got that from the where the location is.
Jerry, that is like people building that was built behind the strip mall, right?
Mr. Arnold is your name.
Mr. Arnold? Mr. Arnold?
Yes, sir.
Yes, would you want to come forward to the podium? You have a question.
I was wondering, are you the one that's building the new one on Second Street from Church?
Yes,
And you also have those behind the
behind the donut shop over
strip mall?
there. Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes. They will be exactly like the ones that we're building right now, currently building back there.
Where is this location?
And I want to thank you too about parking, because I noticed you got special parking for 8 cars
Trying to provide plenty.
off the street.
Yes.
Stacy, do you have a question? You did have that in your package, right?
Jimmy, yes.
Okay. Okay, Monica, would you read the resolution? Again, we might have any discussion after that also.
Ordinance number 2021-02, an ordinance to approve a variance to the zoning map of zoning ordinance number 142. Whereas the Mulberry Planning Commission has approved a variance to zoning ordinance number 142, and whereas the Mulberry City Council also approves this variance. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Mulberry, Arkansas, Section 1, that a variance to ordinance number 142 be granted, allowing the real property described below to be rezoned from residential 1 to residential 2, the northeast corner of Church Avenue and Second Street, part of Block 3, Hicks addition to the town of Mulberry. Section 2, that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed.
Is there any council member who'd like to suspend the reading rules for reading the ordinance number 2021-02 only one time, later in the second and third reading?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded that suspend the rules, and this will be waiving the second and third reading.
Wilma.
Yes.
Bobby.
Yes.
Sheila.
Yes.
Stacy. Yes. Kim. Yes. Jimmy.
Yes.
Okay, would you read the ordinance again by title only?
Catch up my writing, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Ordinance number 2021-02, an ordinance to approve a variance to the zoning map of zoning ordinance number 142.
Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Make that motion.
Motion been made and seconded to adopt this ordinance 2021-02. Is there any discussion?
I just want to know about the parking.
Well, we could have fit 3 on there. We chose to go with 2 to make sure we've got plenty of off-the-street parking. More than enough
Maybe I
parking.
can drive to it.
There'll be, so we'll here and here, and then both sides off the street, you'll be able to drive in, and there'll be way more parking.
Will be paved or
It'll be gravel.
gravel?
Yes.
Wilma? Yes. Bobby?
Yes.
Sheila? Yes. Stacy? Yes. Kim? Yes. Jimmy?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold.
Thank you for your time.
Ordinance 2021-03. This is an ordinance requesting temporary special use permit for 6 months to live in a travel trailer at 17 North Main due to a house burning. You have that in your packets. And you can go through that. This is also, as you see in your packet, okay, got it?
Ordinance to approve a conditional use to the zoning map of zoning ordinance number 142. Whereas the Mulberry Planning Commission has approved a conditional, the Mulberry City Council also approves this conditional use. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Mulberry, Arkansas, Section 1, that a conditional use to ordinance number 142 be granted allowing the real property described below, which is zoned residential 1, to have the following use. 17 North Main, temporary use of RV trailer for 6 months. Section 2, that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed.
Okay, is there any council member that would like to move that suspend the reading rule for ordinance 20? Third reading, liking that, and read by title only.
Make a motion.
Wilma? Yes. Bobby?
Yes.
Sheila? Yes. Stacy? Yes. Kim? Yes. Jimmy?
Yes.
Mike, would you read the title only of ordinance 2021-03?
Ordinance number 2021-03, an ordinance to approve a conditional use to the zoning map of zoning ordinance number 142.
Is there a motion to approve?
Make that motion.
Motion been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on ordinance 2021-03?
Wilma? Yes. Bobby?
Yes.
Sheila? Yes. Stacy? Yes. Kim? Yes. Jimmy?
Yes.
I just want to, can I ask y'all a question? So now we just approved, if that stuff we can do into it quickly here, and need to do emergency clause. Otherwise, we can go into effect over, I don't know, $2 modified, but it's going to be for a couple of weeks.
I move that this past ordinance that we just passed be. Yes.
Okay. Is there a particular, John, is there a particular wording that needs to be on?
Our minutes need to reflect that it's police power, emergency power to protect the safety and welfare of those particular residents because they don't want to place it with them.
Okay, so that's your.
Yes, that's
Is
my,
there a second?
that's my motion. I second. Sheila? Yes. Stacy? Yes. Kim? Yes. Jimmy?
Yes.
Okay, let the minutes reflect that, and that be added to that ordinance. Thank you.
I will rewrite that for your signature. We'll rewrite that ordinance,
Right.
adding the emergency clause.
Sure.
She's just attesting that that they can properly posted. Okay, next on the agenda is ordinance 2021-04, ordinance requesting special use permit for garage located at 448 Church Avenue. I had asked to be on the agenda for this, to speak for this, is I've got contacts at the office. The applicant, Chuck Hawkins, Ed Carpenter, Michelle Jack, Larry Hart, and Keith Pig. And so at this time, we'll let the applicant come and speak.
How you guys doing today? Good, fine.
I purchased.
That's one of those that has to be, I know, but I can't hear it on the minutes.
Okay, I'll talk real loud. I purchased land from Russ Workman, wanting to improve the building, find the building, fix the building up, and use that building for my finishing products on my spare time, on my pay Sunday. I'm not going to do any retail sales out of it. There's not going to be any traffic other than maybe me. My daughter wants to help me. It's going to be us. I mean, that building's sat there for years. Nobody's used it. It's dilapidated. It needs fixed. I mean, I'm not trying to change anything in there. I don't even want anybody to know I'm there when I'm working. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, there won't be any noise. Everything you do is done by hand. I do airbrush a few baits for people. I got a little bitty air compressor, like airbrush air compressor. Doesn't make any noise. I mean, I've tried to talk to everybody and work things out, agree to do things. I believe in the zoning commission. There were some things laid out, and I agreed to everything that was laid out there. I didn't refuse to do anything I was asked to do. Once again, I'm not wanting to make a big impact on Church Street. I'm not wanting to change anything on Church Street. Just fix an old building up and use it. So it's time that I sell the land or build something on the land or move on to another building. You know, I've looked in the area. I've talked to people. There's people who've got some stuff, but they don't know what they want to do with it right now. So, I mean, this building that land at this time was a superb opportunity for me to do. It fit the time period of what I needed to do. You have any questions?
What manufacturing are you gonna be doing there exactly?
I'm gonna put the skirts on my skirts and my blades on my spare bags and package them and store them there. Everything I sell goes to some distributors, so I don't do any there won't be anybody coming in buying bags or anything at that location.
Do you, I'm not familiar with fishing.
Okay?
Do you buy the parts and then put them together, or do you manufacture some of the parts?
I buy everything and we assemble it pretty much. I do some powder coating, but I'm not gonna do that here. I might set up a little station, like if we're doing something, we got something scuffed, go ahead and clean them up and re-powder coat them, but everything else won't be done here. That won't be done here.
Do you use any chemicals?
Nothing,
Acetone?
no.
So basically, everything you'll be doing will be done inside the building,
Inside the building, yes, sir.
nothing outside.
No, sir.
And everything's done mostly by hand.
By hand.
What hours are you?
Probably, I hope, if everything goes work, it's gonna be just on a Saturday, do it on a Saturday, or, unless I'm really behind and maybe work a couple hours, which I do have a full-time job. I might have to work 2 or 3 hours at nighttime, but once again, it's gonna be on the weekends, and there's no noise.
So this is more or less a second income for you.
Yes, sir.
And I understand you're gonna put a bathroom in.
Yes, ma'am.
What about air?
Yes, ma'am.
So you will bring it up to standards as far as,
Yes, sir. What?
is this in writing that you will do this?
I believe we,
It's provisional.
Provisional.
Not a condition. And then my understanding is on a provisional license, if he quits selling, nobody else can go in there and do anything.
Okay, that's another problem. Who you
This
sell
is
it
strictly
just for me.
just for him.
to?
And I'm
So
correct,
it's exclusive as far as who can operate. it.
yeah, I mean, am I correct on that? Okay, so, and then I mean, sell the land, I mean, it goes back
Go
to,
back to-
and another business can't go in there and start something, correct? The residential. Okay, right. Well, it stays residential. It's not rezoned.
No, it's still residential now,
Okay.
and we're not changing, so.
You don't plan to put another building there?
That's not in the deal.
Not
Can't
in
do
the
that.
bill
I
there?
cannot do that. That's- Just gonna use that building.
And if you sell to the distributors, will you be selling it in Mulberry?
The distributors right now are out of state distributors.
Would there be income from Mulberry for that? I mean, no.
Council, y'all have anything else, for Mr. Hawkins? No. Thank you so much, Mr. Hawkins. Next person that, want to be on the agenda was Gary Carpenter. Carpenter, would you come forward?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is, I want to say tonight, I do want to let you know that I've been in contact with both Ms. Marshila Jack and Mr. Larry Hart, who are both signed up to speak to you tonight. They were both going to speak to you in opposition to the granting of this conditional use permit. Unfortunately, Ms. Jack come down with some type of a respiratory illness, hoping that it's just bronchitis and not COVID, but she felt it be best that she went ahead and stayed home. And Mr. Hart had eye surgery today. He believed that he would be able to make it, and I think his spirit was willing, but his doctor said no.
Right.
So they are not going to be here tonight, but they both assure me that they are still in opposition to the granting of this conditional use permit. Now, my wife and I moved here 3.5 years ago. I'm here because she needed, in her graduate program, to get her master's degree to complete an internship, which could only be done in Fort Smith. Well, I've lived in rural Oklahoma. I've lived in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a city of 500,000, and a few cities in between. I knew definitely I didn't want to live in the big city. And so we started looking around, trying to find a place that we felt would be a good, nice, quiet neighborhood for us to relocate. And we stumbled upon Mulberry. We stumbled upon the house there at 438 Church. It had been empty for a number of years, had some issues with it, yet we loved the big backyard, and we were trying to felt that we really liked the feel of it. I love being so close to a school because I know that no sex offender is ever going to move in next door to me. If I'd ever imagined that someone were going to put a business 25 feet from the corner of my house, only 13 feet from my fence, I never would have made that investment in that property. Someone asked me last week why I'm objecting to this, and it is simply that. He is so close to me because of the fact that I know that I wouldn't have bought that property had there been a business operating in a neighborhood that is nothing but houses. Other than right there along where 64 crosses Church, it's nothing but houses. There may be a few people that might operate a building or a business out of some corner of their house. And I know that in the debate that has sprung up about this, some people argue that this is exactly the same thing. But I would argue that it's not. That there is a totally separate ordinance that covers someone who lives here in Mulberry who wants to operate a business out of some portion of their home. I would feel much better about that. If Mr. Pig, who lives to the south of me, to operate some small business out of the corner of his home. Well, Mr. Pig lives next to me. He has to get along with me. He's there 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. This gentleman here, living in Ozark, he's not there to live. He's only there to make his money. And given the fact that he is so close today to deny this. Now, the statute, Title 14, Section 50, is what gives the town its power to basically make exceptions for conditional use permits to your zoning laws. And it very specifically states, and I quote, exceptions shall be made only for good cause. Now, in the law, good cause is one of those terms that has no bright line rule. In the law, they try to design things so that they fit the maximum number of situations. Of course, it gives you folks some flexibility, and you should have some flexibility. However, I would argue that good cause has to mean something. It has to mean something more than just the whim of a property owner. And so in this circumstance, if you guys have a copy of the application, in his own application, he states that there's only 1 or 2 people who are going to be using the building. Now, he has said to me that this means him and his daughter. And so I would argue that means that there's going to be no jobs for the town of Mulberry that are going to result from granting of this license. In his application, he states that no sales will be conducted from the building. And of course, I'm glad that would be the case in case you do grant it. However, I would argue to you that what that means is there's no financial benefit to the city of Mulberry. Now, I recognize Mr. Moore from the Planning Commission. Obviously, the mayor was there. There was some debate before the planning board about whether or not there would be sales tax that would be collected. And I didn't have any authority in front of me that day. However, in the interim, I've taken the time to research that. And what I have found is from the Department of Finance website, from their FAQ on sales and use taxes, and I quote, after January the 1st, 2008, local sales tax collections changed to be based on the quote, point of delivery of the merchandise. So if the possession of the merchandise does not occur at the store or location, then the tax will be based on the delivery address. And so if this gentleman is manufacturing these lures and he is shipping them to, say, a sporting goods store somewhere in Sebastian County, then Sebastian County and the state of the city of Fort Smith is the ones going to collect that sales tax, not the fine city of Mulberry. If he were to make direct sales over the internet, I apologize, sir. If he were to make direct sales over the internet to direct individuals, then he would be obligated, if that individual lived in Washington County or whatever, tax and remit that to the point of delivery. And then, of course, there are other federal laws that cover what happens. But definitely no sales taxes that will be collected from or for the city of Mulberry. And so in a situation where there's no financial benefit to the town and there's no jobs coming to the town, then I ask you, what is the good cause to grant this? When you're talking about putting a business only 25 feet from my home. And I would argue that there simply is no good cause. Now, Mr. Pig and I, a couple of weekends ago, walked Church Avenue. Didn't quite get to the water tower. It got dark on us. It was a very long day. And we spoke to a large number of our neighbors, some of who live directly on Church, some of them who live on a side street, right there at Church. Ms. Jack also, as did Mr. Jim Hamilton. And we collected 28 different signatures, most of them from people that live very close to the Church Avenue. All of those people essentially signed a petition here wanting you to know that they would like you to deny this application. And Your Honor, I would like to submit this to the board. I'm used to being in front of judges, sir. I apologize.
Sure. You can bring it over here.
Thank you. Of the website from the Department of Finance with the citation so that you can verify the sales tax issue yourself. And so these are the reasons why I think you should deny the application. In the alternative, to grant it, I would point out that section 56-416 B2B2C grants the board and the city council power to, quote, impose in the granting of a variance to ensure compliance and to protect adjacent property. So I get that you do. The board, I understand, made certain recommendations to you folks to certain people. And my understanding after speaking to Monica, confirming that that would include that there be no signage on the building. Install a bathroom and plumbing. And that they would require this business to install a privacy to be there these nights when he may be there, as well as Ms. Jackson, the adjacent property owner. I totally would endorse all three of those and would encourage you, if you do grant this, please at least grant me these protections. Now, in addition to that question, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Your Honor, made a statement that this would also be in addition to the conditions that are explicitly stated on the application, meaning that there would be no public sales and it would be limited to this small group of workers. Am I correct in that, sir?
Yes.
Yes. So if you grant this, please at least make sure that you ratify these recommendations of the board to prohibit any signage. He tells me that he doesn't, the applicant started the business there, and obviously, if I were to ever try to sell my property, I would prefer that no one know that. And so there's no need for signage. I can't imagine why anybody plumbing in a restroom. And of course, that's really for me. I think that's just for the good of the town. And then don't have to hear it or necessarily see it. And then prohibiting any public and limiting that he says is all he needs. I would definitely encourage you to do that. And that is all I have. I thank you for your time.
Next, is Keith Day.
Good evening, how are y'all doing today? I had something a lot longer written and cut this down because just fell towards a emotional side instead. To the council members and others concerned, I wish to convey my disapproval of the request for a conditional permit to allow manufacturing at the open lot of 448 Church Avenue. First, I see this as opening a precedence to future similar industries in our already lacking areas for affordable housing within the city limits. The request would not find me so opposed if individuals were living in a home on the premises, as this would hopefully instill one's pride of being in a neighborhood. Secondly, I believe the city would be hard pressed to watch over the site and make certain that the conditions put forth at the commission meeting are adhered to. Will the city take actions to ensure the conditions are met, or will the homeowners in the neighborhood have to come back before the council to communicate non-compliance? In conclusion, I would like the council to see this encroachment as deleting one more area that should be set aside for a family home. And in saying that, I realize that there's still room for a home there, and I would love to see a home go in there. And we are homes in the area. I'm glad to see that we have duplexes going in. I would love to see something like that possibly go in. Preferably a single home dwelling, but something, I don't see how this is going official without some kind of house that's adding to our community as a family home. That's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Okay, that's all the people that have signed up. So, Monica, would you read ordinance 2021-03?
Ordinance number 20 conditional use to the zoning map of zoning ordinance number 142. Whereas the Mulberry Planning Commission has approved to zoning ordinance number 1. Whereas the Mulberry City Council also approves this conditional use. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Mulberry, Arkansas, Section 1, that a conditional use to ordinance number 142 be granted, allowing the real property described below, which is zoned R1, to have the following use. 448 Church Avenue. Conditional use permit to conduct a fishing tackle assembly operation in the garage outbuilding, subject to the following conditions. The operation will not be open to the public, no public sales to be conducted from the business, no signage, a bathroom is to be added to the business, a privacy fence is to be erected to the north and south sides of the property, only 1 to 2 employees to operate in the building. Section 2, that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed.
Okay, do I have a counselor that would like to suspend the reading rule and read ordinance 2021-04 by title only and waiving the second and third reading?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to suspend the rules and waive the reading of the second and third reading and read by title only.
Wilma,
Sorry.
Casey,
Yes.
Kim, yes, Jimmy.
Yes.
Hey, Monica, would you read ordinance 2021-04 by title only?
Ordinance 1-0 to approve a conditional use to the zoning map of zoning ordinance number 142.
I have a motion.
Make a motion to approve this.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve. Is there any further discussion?
Can I ask a question, Ken?
Yes.
I know the zoning commission puts their conditional use in order to approve it. Could you also,
Turn the speaker towards you,
oh, sorry,
please.
can you hear me now? Can you also stipulate hours of operation as far as not past, say, 9 o'clock? Can that be added? I mean, is that
Council,
something
you
that
can
can't be
add,
added?
y'all can do whatever you want. Yes. Is that correct?
Yes.
Our attorney, council, you can add whatever you want. Do whatever you want.
Well, I would make a motion to add not past 9 PM.
So you got an open motion of it, so you need to amend, you got a motion you got to deal with, and then you wanted to make a motion to amend the ordinance to reflect that, and then try to pass it.
Oh,
Okay, did everyone understand what the attorney said? Okay, any further discussion?
Wilma? Bobby?
Yes.
Sheila?
Yes.
Stacy? Yes. Kim? Yes. Jim?
Yes.
Now, did you want to make your motion to?
I make a motion to amend ordinance number 2021-04 to add hours of operation not past 9 o'clock, 9 PM, 9 PM. I second that.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. And, that the ordinance 2021-04 be amended to reflect that no operation after 9:30 PM. Is that correct? I want to make sure I got the words.
So for that vote didn't go exactly how I expected, so essentially y'all passed it. So now we're gonna have to do a new ordinance to amend it, which is fine, we can do that. So what I'm hearing is a ordinance 2021-05 to amend 2021-04 to put hours of operation.
That was her motion.
Yeah.
Her motion is to
So to get you where I think you want to be, we'll have to do another ordinance here real quick.
Okay,
Can I, we haven't voted on the
Yes, you did.
No, we voted to have it reading with title only.
No,
We have not.
Yeah, you did that too.
that's just,
You have got to be.
you said no.
You
You
voted
said no for the reading, and yes for the passing of the ordinance.
So,
Yeah.
so effectively procedurally where y'all are at, y'all passed 2021-04 as it was written, right?
Right.
And so now we're making a motion to amend it to put, hour of operation ceasing at 9 p.m. is what I heard.
Just changing the hours.
Procedurally, you passed the ordinance, yes.
Okay, but it's not in effect yet?
There's no emergency clause and it hasn't been posted, so no, it doesn't go into effect immediately.
No, what I'm saying is, our vote has said, yes, they can do that. Am I not right?
Yes, ma'am, you voted yes to do that.
No, I voted no,
They did.
because I thought I was just doing on the second, the title only reading. That's what I thought I was voting on.
Okay.
So my vote is no.
Okay.
okay.
That's fine, I mean,
Yes, we have. They're saying. Understand that.
okay.
I made a motion.
You had a motion and a second and everybody unanimously voted to approve it. And if you want to just add the hours of restriction.
No, we have passed. I did not understand that. I didn't.
That's fine, it's 2021-04 if you want to, and we can get there,
I would like to do that.
okay?
I second.
Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna vote on that?
Yes.
Well, so give me just a minute, if that's the direction we're gonna go. Yeah, so we're, dash 05. All right, so procedurally, I think y'all make a motion to bring. All right, so Sheila, are you gonna make a motion to bring ordinance 2021-05 and ordinance to repeal ordinance 2021-04 to the table?
Yes, I am.
All right. So if that's a motion, do you have a second?
I make that.
Is there any discussion?
Well, what?
Okay.
To make your motion.
You want me to clarify that?
Yes.
Okay, here's what you're voting on right now. You're voting right now to repeal
Okay.
ordinance 2021-04, which was just approved.
I've just written you a new ordinance, and so what your motion is to bring this to the table for discussion.
Yes.
So it's been, motion has been made and seconded, and we're in the discussion phase right now.
Just to bring it to the table.
Bring it to the table.
Add it to the agenda and bring it to the table.
So, Wilma,
Yes. Yes,
Yes, I do.
Bobby,
yes.
Sheila,
Yes.
Stacy,
No,
Kim,
you already passed it.
We're supposed to bring a new ordinance 05 to the table in place of this.
So I've written an ordinance 2021-05, and it's gonna be an ordinance to repeal the one you just passed. And right now, you're voting on whether to put it on the agenda, the one to repeal. I apologize, I'll try to do a lot better.
Yes.
Two no's to bring it to the table. All right, so I'll read it for you. Ordinance 2021-05, ordinance 2021-04 is hereby repealed. in three readings, so somebody would need to suspend the reading rule if you want to handle it tonight.
I would like to suspend the reading. The next.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to suspend the rules and by title only,
Second, third.
Yes.
and waive the second and third reading. Okay. Second. And so is there any discussion? Is there any clarification anybody needs?
Well.
Okay. Let's let Sean.
To repeal an ordinance, you've got to have another ordinance, and so you've got to have three readings. We've read it once, and so before you is just the motion to suspend the reading rule. Just the reading rule.
Just the reading rule.
Yes.
Bobby,
Yes.
Sheila,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
yes, Jimmy.
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-05 and ordinance to repeal ordinance 2021-04.
Okay, council, what you have before you right now is you have ordinance number 2021-05. It's a new ordinance. And this ordinance is to repeal ordinance 2021-04, which you just approved. You approved ordinance 2021-04. This is to repeal that. If I say that correctly.
Yes, sir.
Is there, the motion was
We don't have to, and not for lack of
The
a motion.
motion is to repeal it.
So if I make it die, then four still.
If there's no motion, it dies, or if there's no second, it dies.
Taylor's got to make a motion to do this. You making it?
Well,
Now,
yes, please.
to repeal the ordinance that you just voted on. Vote, it's to repeal 2021-04. That's the motion that is before.
Okay. And was there a second?
No, there's not a motion.
No, you don't, procedurally, you're just an open meeting. You don't have a motion or anything.
No motion yet.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I would like to vote on, but I don't know where we're at on this, and I
There's
apologize.
There's nothing, I mean.
So is this granted or not? Are they moving in
When you-
the
when you
garage
say-
or not?
I was saying, when you say this, I'm not sure.
Are
what
they
you're
moved, okay. Is, what we're here for?
talking
On
about.
this
So y'all
So is the
unan,
variance in effect or not?
so unanimously you passed ordinance 2021-04.
Right,
And
right,
you,
but
and you,
then we passed 05, which
No.
repealed.
no, you brought it to the table, you didn't pass it.
This is what we do.
Okay, thank you. I don't mean to be tense,
So
but
I
I
want
want
you
to
to
get
ask everybody.
clear on what I'm doing.
Certainly, please, every councilor, be clear that you fully understand what you
Right.
are voting on when you vote.
Okay. Well, I would, have we got a motion to vote for?
There is
No,
no
it's,
motion.
there's nothing pending, it's,
There is no motion.
Well, what do I need to do?
I can't answer that, I don't know what you want to do.
Okay. Boy,
Nothing is done, then it's go.
If there is no motion, then it stands. So it's done.
so that means that that won't take place.
No. No. Right now, the council has voted to approve ordinance 2021-04. These restrictions.
05. No.
No, you voted
We still got
to
We didn't
approve.
do anything on the back.
Okay,
So what was before the council is.
We've already voted.
we've already
We've already
voted,
done.
and the appeals died, right?
No.
The 05 has died,
No.
right?
No, we're in discussion.
Yeah, you brought it to the table,
Yes.
So- just hanging out, depending on where y'all go next.
Okay, well, I want to repeal it. So do I need to make a motion to,
You want to repeal, you want to pass ordinance 2021-05, repealing ordinance 2021-04.
okay, so I want to provide an ordinance of 05 to repeal the 04.
Okay, so
So do I have a second? Do I have a second?
If it's written by both sides, I'm so confused.
Well, we have passed that ordinance, and we're wanting to not pass that ordinance. I wanted to not pass that ordinance.
So you're making a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-05.
Yes. And we've got a second.
I haven't heard a second.
I haven't heard a second.
She seconded.
second.
So, Jill, make a motion
I did, and she
Four.
seconded.
to approve 2021-05, which repeals 2021-04,
I did.
and
I said,
you second.
She seconded.
There discussion, is there discussion on this? You'll make sure that everybody fully understands.
Right.
The old five,
If you have any questions, direct them to our attorney.
let him read 05 again.
Okay, would you read on file?
Sure. Ordinance 2021-05, an ordinance to repeal ordinance 2021-04. Ordinance 2021-04 is hereby repealed.
Okay.
Not yet.
No, but that's what we're fixing to vote
We're
on.
discussing that.
Right, so we'll be voting on the repeal.
Yes.
I just want to be clear.
All council members fully understand what's before you right now. If you have any questions, ask our attorney.
Stacy.
No.
Kim. No. Jenny.
No.
Wilma.
yes.
Yes.
Bobby. Sheila.
Yes.
Okay. The ordinance 2021-05 is failed.
Correct.
And so ordinance 2021-04 stands.
That's my interpretation, issue.
Yes. Now we go to Kim that wanted to make an amendment.
Oh, yeah. I would like to make an amendment to 2021-04, that hours of operation cannot be past 9 PM.
So this would be a new ordinance, is that correct?
2021-06.
2020, I make a motion that ordinance 2021-06 adds the provisions that hours of operation cannot go past 9 PM.
Second motion.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded that for ordinance number 2021-06 to add to section 1 of 2021-04, the statement that hours of operation will not go past what time?
9 PM.
9 PM. Is there any discussion?
Stacy. Yes. Kim. Yes. Jenny.
Yes.
Wilma.
Yes.
Bobby.
Yes.
Sheila.
Yes.
Okay, so now we've got ordinance 2021-04 has been approved. We've got ordinance 2021-05 that's been denied. And we've got ordinance 2021-06 that has been approved.
You had to prove it.
No.
You brought it to the table, and I probably ought to read it for you.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Ordinance 2026, an ordinance to amend ordinance 2021-04. Section 1, ordinance
2021-04, section 1 is hereby amended. The hours of continue past 9 p.m.
I make a motion to first and second reading and title only.
Okay.
And we're reading it
Reading
title.
title only and waive the second, third reading.
Yes.
Is there-
I second.
Motion made and seconded.
We're gonna start over.
Okay. So motion been made and seconded that the rules of reading the second and third reading and read by title only. And so now that's what we're going through. And so motion made and seconded. Okay.
Casey.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Jimmy.
Yes.
Wilma.
Just, it's just going to read the title only.
Okay.
Was that a yes?
Say something I don't want to say.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
I need a yes or no, please.
Bobby.
Yes.
Sheila. Yes.
Ordinance 2021-06, an ordinance to amend ordinance 2021-04.
I make a motion to approve
And
ordinance 2021-06.
I agree. A second.
Okay, is there any discussion? What you have before you is motion 2021-04 to add in section 1, what you just read about the hours of operation.
Casey.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Jimmy.
Yes.
Wilma. Bobby.
Yes.
Sheila. Yes.
Okay, and next, on the agenda, I've got a presentation for aerators at water treatment plant. So, is, Shannon, you here?
Yes.
Yes, would you come to the podium, please?
Dangerous mission, should you choose to accept it.
Any?
Remember, 1 minute after you. That's correct. Okay. And don't worry, the mayor made me promise not to go much over an hour and a half, so.
You don't believe it, Mike? We'll make it short.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Better off short.
Everybody's. And. No, we'll try to get through it as try to do it justice and get through it as quick as possible too, though. I'm not sure how many people have been keeping up with some of the water issues we've had, but one of them is just the fact that the lake goes through life cycles too and has different, the dynamics of the lake can change. And that has happened to us. We've always had, as far as I understand it from my predecessor and his predecessor, whatever, we've always had a little bit of an algae problem, but we've had some flash flooding and other things that have hit the lake, and it's just brought in algae food, and so the algae has gotten worse, and along with it, due to turnovers and things, our manganese and our iron have also increased. So we're looking at, even since I've been here, a little over 5 years, the lake has changed, and we're looking at different scenarios, different, types of treatment that we have to do, just in that short time. So, the personality of the lake has changed in dramatic ways, and that has caused more intense issues that we've had to deal with, in this especially aggressive algae problem. So, and for the past 2 years, we've had increases in algae blooms, which has created issues for chemical treatment at the plant. The algae infiltration brings increased organic loading to the raw water treated and it can also cause taste and odor problems as well. When we have increased organic loading on the lake, it requires higher doses of chlorine to combat it, and that that leads to higher disinfection byproducts. This, of course, can lead to public notices, which no one in the city wants, especially those of us responsible for water treatment. We do not want that. I'm gonna have Darren bring up just, like I said, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So Darren's got some pictures, and he's going to show you exactly what we're talking about. I'm gonna let him discuss it just for a few minutes here.
The pictures that you're seeing here are in the raw pump station. They're stainless steel screens that catches all of the organic, the bigger organics, like the tree, like limbs and stuff. And what you're seeing here is on 812 is we had to clean the filters out, the screens. And that is about what it normally has been. And if you look through, you can see some of the small minnows and zebra mussels there. And if you look, you can see what they look like after we clean them. We take and scrub them and wash them off and everything. And if you look on the fourth, fifth page, on 8/19/21, you can see a drastic difference just by the pictures. On a normal occasion, we clean the screens about once every quarter, sometimes twice, because the algae isn't that bad. And unless we have a major flood, then we clean them out, after that, just to be sure. And we have a meter that shows our raw flow, and if it starts dropping, then we know that the screens are getting clogged up. So we go down and change them. For the last month and a half, we've had to clean them once a week. And, that's time consuming. We got it down to pretty decent art, where we can reduce the amount of time that it takes to do it. But as you can see in some of the pictures, the screens are completely clogged up. You can see the algae pulling through, it's pulling so hard. And what the aerator will do is, the best way to explain it, it's like a bubbler in a fish tank. You know how you see a fish tank with the bubbles coming out? What that will do is that will actually treat the water chemical-free before it even comes into the raw station, and we won't have to deal with near as much of the algae. Because what it will do is it will actually tear it apart on a cellular level. It'll basically start killing the algae before it even comes in. So it's not growing inside the screens and inside the pipes and everything. So the pictures, like I said, it's easier to show a picture than try to explain it. But as you can see, there's a vast difference, and that was just in a week's time. That was from one Monday to the next Monday.
So what this does, like he was talking about, it's going to slow our flow. It's going to cause treatment problems. What we've had to do up to this point, there's basically three options for treating increased algae and the metals, which we also get. We've also had increased metals. We can treat it with more chemicals. For the algae, we can treat it with copper sulfate, or we can use the aeration. Currently, we're treating it, of course, with chemicals. Chemicals are expensive. They do have their limitations. We've reached our limits, pretty much our limits on chemical treatment. We're using pre-treatment and post-treatment chlorination, and we're also now using Earthtic, which is a copper sulfate derivative, and it's we've had to use that, but that's like an act of desperation because we pre-treat it, we treat it afterwards. We're having to treat we're treating for algae all the way through the treatment process from start to finish. And so the last thing we've done is kind of like grasping at straws. We're doing what we can. We're pre-treating it with a copper sulfate, and that's just like I say, just to get us through the hot season here, so we can not have our anyway. But the copper sulfate, so one way to treat it is copper sulfate, but any chemical that's used to treat algae has limitations, just like, any chemical we use. Copper sulfate's one method and that's used in lakes and ponds, but the issues that you run into, if you use too much, you kill the fish and just about everything else in the lake. If you use too little, it isn't really effective. In addition, copper sulfate does not treat the causes of the algae, and it does not directly treat metals in the water. There are other issues with it as well, such as not being biodegradable, and it can cause hazardous waste runoff. But the thing about copper sulfate, you have to periodically use it, and it's not a one and done deal. So that's the bad part about it. You have to, continue to use it if you want to keep getting results. So aeration equipment does have a significant initial investment cost, and for which many systems that does present a financial obstacle. But the benefits of an aeration system are obvious. It's an all-natural way to treat or pre-treat water. And it doesn't involve chemicals at all. And other systems have had aeration installed. And I was looking for my notes. I actually interviewed at Danville, the water superintendent at Danville, and they were just glowing in their, praise of the aeration. I wish I could have found my notes, but if you take my word for it, they really liked it. They put it in one of the river plants, and they liked it so much, or river areas, intakes. They wanted to put one at their lake too. I guess they've got two different separate intakes, and so they wanted to put one there too. He said it dropped it from, high double digits down to single digits. It dropped it. And then if you look on the back of the AO2 one of the bid, you'll see some of the information. I think it was also in that notebook, but you'll see some of the results on the chemical treatment, how they drop. It saves a lot of money on chemicals. We've had to run more hours recently. We've gone through thousands of gallons of pretreatment oxidizer that works on the metals, but it also helps with the algae issue to some degree. But like I say, even these measures have not been enough. We had to do the copper sulfate pentohydrate. We've also, we've done all this, and the chemical costs, the higher the algae in the lake, the higher the chemical costs go. If we were to install the aerator, it would, first of all, it would give us a really good pre-treated water. So the quality of water coming up to the clarifier would be way, way better. Also, it would knock out a lot of the algae, most of the algae, and it would knock out the manganese because it oxidizes the manganese and the iron. So you're getting a lot of bang for the buck. Even if it's a big investment at first, you're getting a lot of bang for the buck. So what that also means is it's going to drop the disinfection byproducts, because so much of what we're having to treat is gone from the very start. So you don't have to, you don't have to continue treating it. So it drops every chemical cost, even our chlorine. We drop down chlorine, less chlorine to put into it, less of the other treatment chemicals, and it just. So I mean, we did that. We crunched the numbers on it, and we're looking at maybe 2 years, to pay it off. From what we're looking at here, just in chemical treatment costs.
Jim, can I do that? Just bottom line is, we got the problem up there, algae. We can solve the problem for about $30,000. We got the money to do that. Same problem, Beaver, huge lake up there. They have the same problem there with their water system.
Right.
This can help us, manganese and algae before it comes into the plant. We don't have to do as much cleaning on that. That's the bottom line.
Right.
Council got, we got to have like $174,858 in ARPA funds. These qualify for that. It's water, wastewater. So we've got the money. It's about, here it says 27,000. We add taxes, that doesn't include it, so over $30,000. We can really help ourselves and pay back in a couple of years' time.
Yes.
Is that
Yeah.
bottom line what we got?
That'll work. I'm ready to go too, Mayor.
So that's what the motor water requesting approval to get this grant, pay for it out of the ARPA funds, and try to help alleviate some of this problem. You have a motion to approve.
I make a
Motion been
motion.
made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Any questions you want to ask me, not Jenny?
All right, then. Thank you very much.
Stacy?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Jimmy?
Yes.
Wilma? Bobby?
Yes.
Sheila? Yes.
All right, the only thing I have, just want to mention, the council, that Jeff Marvin, our chief, fire chief, has decided to retire effective October 31st. So, we'll be having an appropriate retirement ceremony for him, and you'll get information about that. And we'll be, the next week, be looking for a replacement. Anyway, let's just go around the ring real quick. Steve, thank you.
I want to thank you for coming to the overdose awareness handlers that we have and speaking. I really appreciate your support.
Thank you. Mr. Moore?
Never seen the cemetery looking there. Beautiful.
That's the rest of the work.
Yes, I want to apologize for taking up the time and being so confusing, but I wanted to be clear on what I was doing, what I was passing, and what was going on.
You'll
But I
never,
apologize for the time.
no, you don't have to apologize. You never have to apologize, because please always take as much time as you need. All council members, you take as much time as you need, that you fully understand exactly what's before you at all times. So no apology needed. You're not out of order. It's perfect. Okay, I have right now 8:14. Motion to make an adjournment. Is there a second? All in favor?
I can't. I moved out of Mulberry.